Empty house crackdown. That's an interesting one. Criminal sanctions are available for false statements. ATO tools are for empty house crackdown. Roughly 1 in 10 Aussie homes are sitting empty, many owned by foreign investors. They're about to get a knock on the door. Ooh, let's see what's going on. Would you daub in your neighbor? Daub in your neighbor. I've never heard that expression. Come on, go away, advertisement. Would you daub in your neighbor for leaving their home unoccupied? That's the hope of federal and state government as they prepare for a major crackdown on houses and apartments sitting empty around the country. In November, federal parliament passed legislation giving the ATO power to fine foreign investors up to $5,500 a year if they leave their properties empty, meaning they don't put it up to rent, they just buy it and lock it and put it away, and in the hope of selling it in a couple of years, maybe for double the price. That's what has been going on. That's up to $52,500 for failing to lodge their forms. Meanwhile, the Victorian state government's vacant residential land tax kicks in from January 1, with owners in 16 councils area facing potential fines equal to 1% of property's value. Okay. In 2016, 11.2% of private dwellings were unoccupied on census night. That's a really high number, because rents are not that cheap either. But then we have the 11% of the private dwellings are just locked up, nobody's living there. With 10.7% 5 years earlier, compared with 10.7, it's been going up, totaling almost 1.1 million dwellings in Melbourne and Sydney. The number of empty properties increased by 19% and 15% respectively. Let's see. Considering that thousands of people sleep rough, almost 7,000 on census night in 2011, more than 400 per night in Sydney in 2017, and that hundreds of thousands face overcrowded homes or unaffordable rents, these seem like cruel and immoral revelations. That's true. I mean, people are sleeping on the street and affordability is not that great either, even for rent. And then we have these houses locked up. Nobody's living in them. It's basically an investment instrument for foreign investors and local investors. So this makes sense. This has struck a chord with the public not only because of its connotation of obscene wealth, inequality and waste, but also because of the contended link to foreign ownership. Yeah, obviously. If the fees and charges accumulate and remain unpaid, a hold can be placed over the property so the unpaid amounts are recouped when the property is sold. Shukri Barbara, principal advisor at property tax specialist, said it was unclear exactly how the policy would be enforced, but that AI capability of ATO in data matching is absolutely sensational. They're able to match every field of tax return information with outside data, particularly as it relates to local government, he said, adding international data sharing agreement between OECD countries, which also plays a role. That I don't think is such a good idea. Letting the government use AI to make a surveillance decision on its citizens, because we recently heard about how I think it was Centrelink who was sending all these notices to students, which was based on a similar algorithm issue, where they just put people in a certain profile and sent them messages that they may owe government some money and they need to figure it out and contact whomsoever, Centrelink, and it kind of set a lot of people in sort of a panic. It was not a good move. If foreign investors claim that they have rented the dwelling or made it available for rent, then the ATO can check against the data detailed above as well as lease and real estate agent agreement, internet searches, records of rental tenancies authorities. Okay. Criminal sanctions are available for false and misleading statement. You have to, otherwise people would just make misleading, wrong, false statement. The Victorian State Revenue Office, simply said, it undertakes monitoring and compliance activities to ensure that vacant residences are being declared. I think this has a potential of bringing down the rents in Melbourne and Sydney, mostly, because everywhere else they have been going down steadily. What do you guys think? Let me know.